This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 93, about Gotham, Mad City, season 3, episode 14, The Gentle Art of Making Enemies.
I'm David Mazuz, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
This is Robin Lloyd Taylor, and you are listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites, to episode 93 of Gotham TV Podcast, where we're talking about season 3, episode 14 of Gotham, The Gentle Art of Making Enemies. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hi, I'm one of your other hosts, John. Welcome back, Gothamites.
Yeah, it's the middle of summer, and we're talking about the Gotham winter finale, the end of the 3-episode Jerome arc. So this is obviously our spoiler-filled podcast about the episode. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Obviously, you waited long enough for us to watch it and talk about it. So go have a watch. This is an excellent episode.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best episodes, I think, definitely, this season, and probably maybe throughout the entire series so far. Yeah, and of course, all our podcasts are there available. Just go to www.gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes, or you can search any other good or evil podcast catcher. Just search Gotham TV Podcast. Subscribe, listen in, leave a review if you want. That will be excellent.
That'd be awesome, actually. We haven't had any reviews much this season on iTunes.
No,
I think that's because we
true.
don't say it, and it's now Apple Podcasts. We always forget that it's now called Apple Podcasts.
That is true.
Pop on over there, give us a new review if you've reviewed us before, or give us a first time review. It's lovely to get them from our listeners. Just a little bit of an announcement to kick off. Good news.
Good news.
After last week's discussion about the loss of Jade Logue, Donald Logue's daughter, she has been found and returned to her family, which is fantastic news. I know a lot of people worried about it, so congratulations to the Logues.
Yeah, absolutely great news to hear that she's back safe.
Absolutely, yeah. Great news. Always good to start with good news. But I think with that, John, I think it's time to crack into our review of Gotham Season 3, Episode 14, The Gentle Art of Making Enemies.
Yeah.
This episode was directed by Louis Shaw Melito. He directed episode 9 of season 2, A Bitter Pill to Swallow. That was the one that had Eduardo Flamingo in
the
it.
Flamingo.
Yes, that's very cool. Also did 3 episodes of Lucifer so far.
Cool.
Interesting one for you, John. Early on in the season, he was a second assistant director on some movies, including Mallrats. He did 4 Rooms as well. And one for you, he did Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest.
Wow.
I know.
Louis Shaw Melito. You are a legend.
Well, second assistant director, mind you, not the one responsible.
I am sure
for
he
that movie.
did the moment where the corn starts sprouting up in a disused factory and the bloodshed begins. And
Possibly.
some mutant corn or maize plant begins to terrorize people who happen to be randomly around a disused factory.
There you go. So if you're looking for something to watch after you've watched this episode of Gotham, go and watch...
Children of the Corn, The Urban Harvest. And dare I say, Children of the Corn 1 is equally good. In fact, is better.
It's probably better than the
2
Urban
and
Harvest.
3 start a downward trend that I don't think the franchise ever recovered from.
I don't think so. But on to the writer of this episode. It was written by Seth Boston. He wrote episode 13 of season 2, A Dead Man Feels No Cold. That's where we had Nora and Victor Fries.
Cool. That was a great episode.
Really good episode. So, John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis of the episode?
Sure. The GCPD struggles to contain the riots committed by Jerome and his followers after the blackout initiated by Jerome. Unsure of what Jerome's motives are, Jim and Harvey consult with Leslie, who was the last person at the GCPD to have talked with Jerome. They identify that his target is Bruce Wayne. Whilst over at Wayne Manor, Jerome kidnaps Bruce and takes him to the circus, where he plans a theatrical execution in front of his followers. Accompanied by Alfred, Gordon and Bullock lead the GCPD strike force to the circus. Bruce escapes and fights Jerome in a house of mirrors, but resists the urge to kill him. Jerome is subdued by Jim, who literally punches his face off before returning Jerome back to Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, in all the mayhem, Barbara, Tabitha, and Butch threaten Cobblepot into helping them find and kill Nigma. Realizing he truly loves him, Cobblepot refuses. However, it's all a ruse, as Nigma reveals that he planned to make him realize he is incapable of love. Despite Cobblepot having proven otherwise, Nigma cannot reconcile Cobblepot and the death of poor, sweet, innocent Isabel, and at the docks shoots him. With order restored to the city of Gotham, the Court of Owls begin to enact a new scheme. As they prepare Bruce's doppelganger, 514A, for action, Jim is reunited with his Uncle Frank, a secret member of the Court of Owls.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You could tell this was a winter finale, can't you?
Oh, lots going on, and loads of intrigue, loads of excitement, loads of action, loads of Jerome. Really, really, really good. And so many sort of cliffhangers here. We have seemingly the death of Oswald Cobblepot at the hands of his right-hand man. I think he used his right hand to shoot him. Ed Nigma. We have Jerome causing chaos, but being sent back to Arkham Asylum after a fantastic punch by Jim Gordon.
Absolutely.
We have Bruce realizing the importance of not killing and that self-restraint, and now the Court of Owls are scheming, rubbing their hands together in darkened rooms, and
about to use the Brucelganger.
The Brucelganger and Jim's uncle.
Yeah, really interesting.
Wow.
I'm sure it was just a typo in your synopsis, but I do like that you called her Isabel.
I did that on purpose. I think
Isabella.
Fact, is Isabella.
Yes, it is. Yes, no, I like that. I like that. Nice touch, John. Nice touch. Time to get into
I do try with my synopsis.
But time to get into our top 5 points. The way we cover our episodes is we choose 5 points that kind of represent the whole episode. So we're going to start off with our case note number 1, which is Ed reveals he knows Oswald was responsible.
He certainly does, with also a vat of acid hanging over the mutilated car that Isabella had once driven to her death.
Yes, another great setup for Ed, where he's set
proper
up
Batman 66, actually.
But yeah, absolutely,
Loved it.
Exactly what I was going to say. A great moment where you say to the people, "This is how you're going to die. It's going to be really ironic. You're on the body of the car of my dead girlfriend. You killed her. There's going to be acid coming down. The ice is going to melt, and then the acid is going to fall on top of you." Which basically gives you about 20 to 25 minutes to work out a way out of this.
Absolutely,
So, yeah.
And in fact, probably Nigma gives Cobblepot the way out by sending in the security guard. I don't think, given what happens later in the episode, that was by chance. Certainly, Ed is messing with his mind.
Very much so.
A lot. And of course, close shave for Oswald, as the acid was dripping between his legs. If the measurement was off, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, there could be no baby penguins ever. Or he could just lose a leg. Yes, absolutely. I think there was also a pretty close shave by sending that particular security guard in, who seemed to question why he would help Oswald out. If you're in that position in Gotham, well, maybe you have done something that deserved you being in that position, is kind of the attitude of the guard. Great little moment there. Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm going to die here listening to this imbecile talking. Yeah, just really fantastic Oswald Cobblepot, really, and his complete disregard for anyone else.
Yes. Speaking of that, I just wanted to put a little bit of our interview with Robin Lord Taylor from Heroes Villains Fan Fest. In case you didn't hear it, he just had something interesting to say about his relationships and about his attitude to love, which I think is kind of what's going on in this scene here.
The relationship between Oswald and Ed is not suffering because of Isabella. It's suffering because of Oswald.
Right.
Oswald is a person who doesn't understand boundaries. He doesn't know what love truly is, and he is a fractured, manipulative person. So it's really his own doing that. He is his own worst enemy in many ways, and this is one of the examples of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, so really he's saying that Oswald's own worst enemy is Oswald. He's a character that doesn't know the boundaries, who doesn't know what real love is at all. Like, this idea that he's killed Isabella because, well, he saved Ed from the future pain when he's definitely going to kill the woman and that's the love of his life, you know? That's really odd that he would do that.
Absolutely. And I think this brings us into our second point, really. I mean, I think it's kind of strange that to some extent, Oswald doesn't conceptualize other people. He does things for himself and so on.
Yeah.
But there is some form of feeling there. You know, it's all bound up with his mum, who was killed, obviously, at the hands of Tabitha, Gertrude. But, you know, even here, in the Sirens Bar, you know, as Tabitha, Butch, and Barbara are trying to continue the plan that Ed has put in place. And it's really interesting, you know, that Ed wants to destroy everything he's believed in, i.e. that he wanted to show Oswald that he is incapable of loving. Yeah. Presumably even his mother, that, you know, in a sense, you know, maybe it's simply loyalty rather than love. And that's really what it is, because it's kind of why in the synopsis I did kind of add that line that, you know, just however, you know, really despite Oswald almost proving otherwise, that he is capable of love, because he refuses, he puts his own neck on the line. And maybe that's the first instance of it happening. Yeah. Maybe his relationship with Gertrude and with Ed, he has mistaken love in the past for effectively being loyal for different reasons. It seems like he respects loyalty and cherishes that, and maybe he confuses it with love. Yeah. However, we have here Oswald refusing, ultimately putting his neck on the line to be shot or killed in some manner by Barbara or Tabitha or Butch. But maybe he's also aware that this is still a ruse going on. Like, he's a really perceptive criminal.
He is. I do get that, but I think he has been knocked to his lowest point here. And as you say, there's something really interesting in the fact that Oswald is willing to put his life on the line. In the past, he wasn't able to save Gertrude, but tried to take revenge for her death. He wasn't able to save his father, but he took revenge for his father's death. Whereas this time, for the first time, he's putting himself up front and center and saying, kill me. You're never going to get Ed's location out of me. So it does feel like he was put in that position by Ed, but it feels like he's actually taking it to a different conclusion than Ed thought was going to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And ultimately all for nothing, because Ed is really not in a position to forgive Oswald here, and takes him down memory lane, really. Back to the docks, back to
the pilot.
Season 1, Episode 1, where Oswald ends up in the drink, but this time he's in the drink with a gunshot wound. That was, I mean, I expected it to come, because I didn't see how they were going to come out of that, unless it was just that Ed, you know, takes Oswald away from Butch, Tabitha, and Barbara and pretends that he's killed him. Something like
Jim
that.
did in the first
Effectively
instance,
like what Jim did. But yeah, this has real echoes of the pilot episode, and a really good interaction between Ed and Oswald there. And actually, again, we've talked about this, and again, this is such a great shot when it pans back and there's just Ed left on the dock with the crane, kind of in the overcast cloud and the mist. It's raining. Such a great shot.
Absolutely.
Loved it.
And again, the kind of echo of the pilot as Oswald's falling into the water with the blood coming out of him this time. It's very definitively saying he has been shot here. There's no doubt here. This isn't another situation where he's just been pushed into the ocean or into the dock to make his own way out of the city and come back at a later stage. He's been shot here.
And maybe this is the turning point where he gets his weight issues.
Maybe. Maybe.
A long period of rehabilitation, from the gunshot wound means he's very stationary, but he's eating a lot to get his strength.
Perhaps. And also trying to get over a lost love. That can be a time when you turn to food.
He hits the box of chocolates.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe, but
Or the tuna sandwiches.
Possibly. He used to eat all the time after
But
every
who is
kill,
going to
so.
drag him out, though? Will it be Fish?
Oh, you never know.
You never know, because, obviously earlier this season, we have had Fish and Oswald effectively slightly connecting back up again.
Absolutely.
And that kind of old age loyalty again between the two, despite everything that's gone between them. They've kind of seen it water under the bridge, and it's past them. So maybe she has been keeping close fish eyes on him, and maybe it could be her that rescues him.
Possibly. There is a very interesting parallel now that you bring it up. It's an interesting parallel between that discussion with Fish Mooney earlier on in the season, where she told Oswald that she's so proud of what he's become. She's watched him grow into who he's become. And without Fish, there would be no Cobblepot. She's the one that helped make him effectively. And he tries to use the same tactic on Ed, except he spits it at him. He says to Ed, without me, there would be no you. There would be no Edward Nygma. You were a retiring, shy guy, and I'm the one that trains you into becoming what you are now. We have a little bit of feedback that we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later on, but I'm not sure whether that's entirely accurate. He put up with Ed's murdering ways, but he didn't push him into murdering to begin with. Ed was already there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it is quite interesting to see that Oswald's trying to take responsibility for the person that Ed has become. Now, he did help him in many ways and did visit him when he was in Arkham and give him his puzzle box and was a shoulder to cry on many times. And Ed is now, I suppose, a much stronger character than he would have been without the influence of Oswald.
He gave Ed direction after the fact.
True. Yes.
I think. But I think it was Ed ultimately took those steps by himself, and certainly I think Ed knows that. I think as well, before moving on, we see Butch being relegated to muscle for hire.
Oh, what a great moment there for Oswald to just try and get another dig in at Butch.
Absolutely.
He's like, you used to be somebody in the city. You used to be the right-hand man to Fish, basically, when I met you first. Then you were a right-hand man to me. You used to have a lot of power when you were working for me, and now you're just relegated to hired muscle.
And it's kind of compounded by the fact that when he says, it'll take me 5 minutes to beat out, the confession that Barbara and Tabitha are looking for.
Yeah.
Tabitha chimes in with, it'll take me 3.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just like, now Tabitha,
And also a fun little moment when he knocks out Oswald and is told by Tabitha, that means you got to carry him.
Yeah.
Great little
really
moment.
good little moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. But I think on to the main course here.
Yeah, I think the
Jerome.
next 3 points are going to be Jerome related, right?
Jerome. Attacks Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
Again, it's the last thing he remembers. It's the only thing that he is left for him to do from what he remembers. He can't go after Galavan. All those other avenues have been shut down through the fact that they're already dead, basically. Yeah. So here we have Jerome going after Bruce with an attack on Wayne Manor, and a lot of great stuff here, I think.
What I do like about this, particularly with Jerome, is because he's so crazy. It's why are you doing this? Well, it's because the last thing I remember before I got killed was that I was going to kill you, so I'm just going to go back and do that. There's no other reason other than that, really.
No, absolutely.
He's the billionaire Bruce Wayne, so we're going to go and kill him because that's what I did last time.
But here we see the start of Bruce really thinking about the situation that he's in, I feel. I think you've had that in the past, but this is really sort of deliberate to really show you how the training that him and Alfred have been doing, and a really good use of Jerome's own ego to really say, you're just going to do it here. Why not publicly, so that, you know, buy him time, buy Alfred some time, ultimately that saves both him and Alfred. And of course we see the owl statue getting destroyed, and you're just like, are they going to glue it back together? I really want to know this.
Like, really, are you kidding me, writers? So are you kidding me that you would take something that took so much story to get access to this owl statue, the most important thing the Court of Owls were protecting, and then just smash it on the floor with Crazy Jerome? That's what the anarchy that Jerome brings to the show. This is something that was being built up to being probably in the finale of this season, and they just picked it up and smashed it. I presume there must be another owl statue in the city.
Yeah, they're going to glue it back together. A bit of bonding. It will be back, and the map will just be slightly skew-if. I actually thought Jerome was going to like hit something and reveal the Bruce cave. Actually,
well, yeah. I
really did.
I thought when he was coming in with the owl statue that there would be something like I would have a flash of light and we'd see the map again, and Bruce would actually see the map. They still don't know what's in this owl statue. It's being put aside for something, for a future use, but now it's been smashed up.
That would have been really cool if they had done that just as he then chucks it over his shoulder.
Yeah.
So they know that something's there, and like they then have to figure out how to recreate the owl to get the map, i.e. glue it back together.
But maybe. I don't think it's gluable, unfortunately, but it almost felt, and I am honestly joking about this, but this almost felt like a 2 fingers up to the audience going, you thought that was important, it's smashed on the ground now. It's not important anymore. You've been speculating about what it could lead to, what it could point to.
No.
Bruce and Alfred and Selena did the work to get this from a really secure location to take down the Court of Owls, and now it's gone. In one moment with Jerome, it was like
Bruce and Selena's love, it's gone. Smashed into a million pieces.
Oh, yes. Sorry, didn't mean to laugh. Yes, that is very sad, genuinely. I also love about this scene. I love the moment when Alfred is getting Jim to help him, against the 3 guys that are left, 3 of Jerome's guards. That was a really smart moment where it's like, come at me, you know, what are you doing over there with the crowbar in the corner on the right? And you in the middle, what are you doing with your gun? And you at the back, what are you doing? You know, really good moment. Who are you talking to?
And he comes out unscathed as well. In fact, he gets the knife in.
That's right.
I loved how Sean Pertwee does that as well, because like you could imagine where it would just slide in and the guy would fall to the ground, but he grabs him. You really get a sense of Alfred's anger as to what's just happened and his concern for Bruce, and he takes it out on this guy after he's kind of punctured him with his own knife.
Yeah.
But kind of grabs him, shakes him, may even punch him, but then just flings him back against the chair. Like, it's almost like overkill, but it's just, it represents the anger, frustration, concern that it has built up inside Alfred for Bruce. So, really good. The guy with the machine gun was useless. I mean, talk about just sort of a very weak kind of spray, and then it jams.
It seemed like he was at the Stormtrooper school of targeting, really, wasn't it?
Big time.
Yeah, terrible. Like he's aiming the gun at Jim, who's just hidden behind a couch, isn't he? It's just he just keeps firing the gun until it's out, basically. Not great. But yes, on to case point 4. It's the move onto the Boardwalk Circus. This is something right out of the Batman animated cartoons, which were fantastic. These were not kids' cartoons. These were really good cartoons, but it really did feel like the Joker has got his circus.
Big time.
I love how they piece it together that he's there. It's there's 3 locations that have been taken over in Gotham, and they go, well, Jerome came for the circus, so that's obviously where he's gone. Absolutely right, of course. But some of the attractions that are there are fantastic. The citizens of Gotham's being used in whack-a-mole, where their heads are popping up and someone's using a genuine hammer to crush their heads. Like, absolutely crazy. The dunk tank with the businessman sitting with his briefcase in hand. If he gets dunked, there's piranha inside the dunk tank. Like, how they set that up in 20 minutes?
The coconut stall as well, except it's your head that has balls being chucked at it.
At it.
A guy is the target for the BB gun. Yeah.
There's the
It's not a circus I'd like to go to,
not
to be
really,
honest.
not really.
No.
I loved just the little touches in the background of some of the scenes. You still saw some of the citizens of Gotham spinning out of control on on some of the rides, screaming their hearts out because they're terrified, not because of the usual "I'm scared." It's because they feel like they're going to get killed, and probably
That
are.
actually happened to me at the Goose Fair in Oxford.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a fair that's held every September. Broad Street is closed down. There's all these fairground attractions. I was on the teacups.
Okay.
Me and one of my college friends were on there. The guy started it going, kind of indicated you wanted it to go faster. And we were like, yeah, did that, and then walked off for 10 minutes. Yeah, by the end of it, we were screaming, lying down in this ornate teacup, trying not to throw up, and
my God.
trying to get as close to the ground as possible, and then coming up gradually to try and effectively shout help, would someone turn this off, because he went to go and get a hot dog.
Was his name Jerome?
He could well have been. But yes, I have never been on a spinning teacup ever since.
But there is nothing more British than a teacup ride spinning out of control. Though. That's brilliant.
Yes, luckily the fruit scone was there to catch my landing.
I like it. But yes, possibly that's your visit to Jerome's House of Horrors.
Have been, yeah.
But one of the other things I loved about the scene was his moment, Jerome's moment with Bruce, where he's telling him about how he controls people. Effectively, he controls them by not giving them any plan. He controls them by just giving them an excuse to do what they want to do. You know, if you have a screaming baby and you don't want to deal with it, kill it, is Jerome's idea. Absolutely abhorrent, but this is Jerome.
Yeah.
It really did remind me of the kind of anarchy plan of Joker in The Dark Knight, where he's saying that the city just needs anarchy. It just needs to throw in a little match and the whole place will explode.
Yeah.
And Jerome feels like he is the match. I'm presuming this is absolutely the reason why they took it, you know?
Yeah.
I also like the idea that Jerome kind of incorporates Bane from Dark Knight Rises, the idea that the low class workers are baying for the blood of the 1%, which is Bruce.
Yeah.
You know, taking in both of those pieces and incorporating them into this character, Jerome, I think is a brilliant idea.
Great idea. Yeah. Really, really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And keep bringing in more of those elements. Bring them in. Why not? You've got Gotham is open to use any of these ideas. It's great to have them in this character. And this is why the character is so loved, because they used the biggest and best of the villains of Batman within the character Jerome. And again, Cameron Monaghan just plays this so well.
Really, really well. Yes, and even where he's the ringmaster and he's trying to do his plan, and one of his followers, the cowboy, is just, he's going with it. He's loving it. He's like going, yeah, we can just all be crazy here. And maybe he actually was crazy. He's just kind of blooping away and Jerome just shoots him.
Yeah.
Go from that to him having to restaple part of his face back together. And all these just little touches that just show the unhinged nature of Jerome.
Absolutely. Even the guy that does Bruce's makeup, like he does his makeup, he does a great
Sad
job of the
Bruce.
makeup, and then he's like, and then he goes, but we need something extra. We need a smile on your face, and stabs the guy who's done the makeup, takes some of his blood, and turns it into Bruce's smile. Like, I wouldn't want to be a follower of Jerome, or at least if you are a follower of Jerome, don't get anywhere near his hands or gunshot or anything.
Yeah. Climbing up the ranks to be close to the leader in that sense is not a good idea.
Not a
but
good
yeah,
plan.
I thought little sad Bruce was kind of great.
It
was
fantastic.
really, really good.
David Mazouz was fantastic in this part.
Absolutely.
You could tell it was kind of, he's perfecting this look, the Bruce Wayne and Dark Knight look for 3 seasons, where he's got that kind of proper grimace and proper growl. He's been developing it, and to have those features accentuated by the makeup at the circus was just fantastic. It must have been a great moment on set.
Yeah.
Really good fun. I think it's on to our final case now, John.
Yeah, the final showdown. I mean, where to start here? I mean, I think, we have the staples being put into his arm. I love how Bruce really just stands up to him until like the third one, where it's like, stop. We have, the cannon being trained on Bruce, and he's using those staples then,
Holy bat staples.
Absolutely. Aware of his surroundings, what he can do to try and escape, to keep him alive. And then, going into the House of Mirrors, again, another great cinematic look to the shots in here. I mean, it's difficult to go wrong in a House of Mirrors just because of what it does. But it must be such good fun as a director to put it there. And I mean, it's so bright in there as well that, the makeup and just the acting of Cameron as Jerome and also David as Bruce, really, really good. And I mean, we, all within this House of Mirrors with a really important point being made, which is that, Bruce is on the edge of losing it. But as he says to Alfred later, he knows that there is a line between justice and vengeance.
Yeah.
And he realizes that, he pulled back from that line into killing Jerome. And I mean, again, just how Jerome's face moved as Bruce Wayne is beating, and punching his face.
Oh, yeah.
Just absolutely top quality, I think.
There is nothing wrong with this scene. It's absolutely fantastic. Some of the shots are things that I thought couldn't be accomplished properly. It must have taken so long to set them up. They felt like something directly out of a comic book. There's one moment where Jerome is seen across 7 mirrors, but each mirror is a part of Jerome's body. It's not duplicating anything else that's on the screen at the same time.
Absolutely.
And the staging of that is fantastic. And then Bruce steps out and he's individually on each of the 7 mirrors, so that Jerome can't place where he is. But even this fight, it's the stuff of what you want to see in the show, really. These moments where Jerome throws the gun out and says, let's go mano a mano, me and you, and David or Bruce jumps directly on his back. And then Jerome has his moment of, why did you do that? What kind of hero comes up and jumps on the back of a guy, As
he's also slid his knife down to take the advantage as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just a really, really well put together scene. And again, as you say, Bruce seeing himself in the mirror holding up a piece of glass when he's going to stab Jerome and realizing, I can't kill him.
Definitely.
Or else I am him.
And of course, then you have just the really hilarious moment where the cannon does go off. All the nails, the drills, the saws that have been put into
the knives and forks
to take out Bruce have somehow done a lovely sculpture, and even seem to have embedded in part of the piece of wood that was holding Bruce from behind. It's like defied gravity.
It is brilliant.
It is so Batman 66 in the middle of all of this kind of Dark Knight aspect and real proper meaty story for the character of Bruce Wayne. I loved it.
Oh yeah,
it was hilarious. Though.
I was expecting some cartoon sound effects when the cannon went off of the
pow.
Yeah, exactly, or just of the forks, banging in place. Exactly. I just was expecting something like that. It was fabulous though. Really, it did make me smile. I think I was smiling the whole way through that scene. Some of it because of how great it is to see comic book moments on the TV show again,
big time,
and others because each of these actors was just playing a great part. And then it leads into the attack from Alfred and Jim and Harvey Bullock coming to the rescue again. Have we mentioned in the last couple of weeks about Strike Force? Strike Force seemed to have come back in a big way in the GCPD.
Well, it needs to.
But they were all killed, except for one member of Strike Force in season 2. There was one member left.
But I think...
Did they keep recruiting them? They just disappeared in the background.
I suspect so.
But they still haven't turned up. The reason why they've been mentioned twice is Strike Force on their way? Yeah, they're coming soon. We'll have to take it ourselves. Was kind of Jim and Harvey in this episode again.
I think they're just using that instead of SWAT kind of thing.
Probably.
Really. And I think, it would make sense for Strike Force to still be around. In fact, they're needed more than ever.
They are. Yes, they are. But yeah, we do have the fantastic moment mentioned in your synopsis where, Jim takes a guy's face off with a punch. A nice compliment. It's not our Bullockism of the week, but a nice compliment from Harvey later on to Jim saying, how many guys can say that? You punched a guy's face off. Fantastic moment. And yes, the reuniting of Alfred and Bruce at the end of the scene, because effectively the reason why Bruce was going to kill Jerome was because he thought Bruce was dead. He thought Alfred was dead.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that's the whole reason why they have this big reunion. The whole reason why Bruce was going to step over that line was because he thought he'd lost Alfred.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely moment to have the two of them, and continues into the end of the episode as Alfred starts to set up the rules for Batman now.
Yeah.
He says, you've been in training. What's it for? Bruce kind of goes, I don't really know. And Alfred goes, well, there is a stage now we're at. I can now train you to do something, but there needs to be rules. We need to lay out what the ground rules are for us and what we're going to be doing with these in the future.
Big time. Yeah.
Big Batman moments here.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. So that is our top 5 points, but there is some moments at the end. Now, because it's a finale, we're going to bend our rules a little bit and just talk about those 2 extra moments, which are both related to the Court of Owls. Number 1, the Brussels Ganger was going to be deployed. So we now find out that the reason why 514A, the Bruce Doppelganger, or Brussels Ganger, as we like to call him, we now know why he was taken by the Court of Owls. They were saying that if Jerome's plan had succeeded and the city went into chaos and potentially Bruce had been killed, they would have deployed the Doppelganger in his place to take over the continuity, I suppose, of Wayne Enterprises, which is really interesting.
But so what is he going to do now?
Yeah, they still have
Are they still going to deploy him? And will it be dependent upon Uncle Frank's showing up at Jim? Obviously, at Jim. That's a new bar. At Jim's apartment. I love the fact that Jim's automatic reflex now when the door, there's someone at the door or there's a knock at the door, is that he takes out his gun. Yes. Gotham already is screwed, really, in that sense. But,
I guess if you're Jim Gordon at this stage, most people, if they want to come over and visit, they call in advance, right?
He should be in Arkham, I think, to protect his own safety.
Possibly.
But yeah, I mean, Uncle Frank here, is a member of the Court of Owls and is saying he will, whatever is about to be enacted by the court is dependent on this interaction now between Frank and Jim, and that Jim buys into it. Are they trying to recruit him to the Court of Owls? Or maybe they did with his father, and his father's death is connected to that.
Possible, yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to know more about that, definitely.
There's a lot of intrigue here for the next episode.
Like right the way back from Falcone in the pilot episode saying to Jim that his father and himself are very connected, that they knew each other.
Yeah.
Now kind of bringing that in potentially into the Court of Owls is really cool. Really, really intrigued to see that. But that's top 5 points for the episode.
Yeah.
John, what did you think of the episode overall, or should we go to Bullockism first?
Bullockism, and then, yeah.
Bullockism. There is only one candidate for Bullockism. We really loved the moment when Jim is trying to work out where Jerome is. He kind of goes, we need to find him. What does Jerome want? And Harvey goes, I don't know, a puppy? I didn't talk to him. Nice little moment of Harvey. He's supposed to be the chief of police here. He's supposed to be the head of the department, of the police department in New York, or in Gotham, excuse me. But he just has no idea where Jim's going with this train of questioning. So, love the moment. But I want to reserve, because I have done it a couple of times. I've called out my favorite line from the episode. Can I do that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Favorite line from the episode has to go to Leslie Tompkins. I couldn't stop laughing. I watched the episode twice and I couldn't stop laughing each time she said it, where she's talking back on the conversation with Jerome and says, well, I told him that you murdered Mario on our wedding night. You shot him in the head. It seems to be something, he laughed. It seems to be something that you guys have in common.
You can bond over.
Between Jerome and Jim. I loved the delivery of the line. It's while she is a spurned woman, she definitely has a bit of a sense of humor.
She has a dark sense of humor and a great sense of humor.
Really enjoyed it, yeah. John, what did you think overall of the episode?
This to me, absolutely a standout. I think in terms of Bruce Wayne's development, in terms of just having Jerome back causing merry mayhem in Gotham, seeing the Court of Owls coming back into the fray, and how that's going to relate to Jim and the Brussels Ganger. Obviously, the shooting of Oswald by Ed Nigma, what's going to happen there? Are Barbara and Butch and Tabitha, they may well attack Ed. Who's going to save Oswald? Will it be Fish? And of course, all of this just really done incredibly well, some great visuals, and this is why I'm going to give it 5 face-offs out of 5.
Excellent. Well done, John. That's kind of where I am as well. We don't talk about this very often, but this is the second highest rated episode of Gotham on IMDb, the pretty popular tool. This is one that I think is what the fans want to see. I hope they don't just take this and use this template for every future episode. But when you're firing all cylinders in Gotham, this is the kind of episode you get.
Definitely.
I think the episode that's just below it is Penguin's Umbrella from season 1, episode 7, which was the turning point of the show. That's the one when all the people that had come on board wanted to see basically a Christopher Nolan movie every week. Once they jumped off and it was left with the people that were enjoying the show and the characters, Penguin's Umbrella is the one that changed the show into the show that it's become now.
Yeah.
And this is another turning point for the show, I feel. Is that there is
Definitely. It's cinematic. It's certainly bloody.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps the fun.
Yes.
I think always Gotham episodes, when they are ensemble pieces, if you think here, we've got loads of really big storylines here, all taking place from Oswald to Enigma and Babs, Tabs and Butch. We have Alfred and Bruce and their development, Bruce and Jerome kicking off, as well as then the Court of Owls rearing their big bright eyes and going to wit to woo. Like, yes. All of it, it's cinematic. It has a sense of fun. It's poignant. It's intriguing. As I say, that last conversation between Bruce and Alfred is really good stuff.
Absolutely.
Really good stuff. Yeah. The taunting by Jerome of Bruce, really good stuff.
Yeah.
The emotional interaction between Oswald and Ed, really, really good stuff. Yeah. And then they still find time to throw in Uncle Frank.
I know.
Amazing.
And the best part about this is, as we're watching these episodes week after week, we don't have a 6-week wait after this cliffhanger that they had in the US. We get to see this next week. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think with that, onto some feedback.
I think so.
And just to remember that you can post your feedback directly to us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. Send in any comments or discussion points or thoughts on any of the episodes of season 3. You can also leave voicemail. Just go to gothamtvpodcast.com, click on the right hand side, the voicemail tab, and you can leave up to 90 seconds of feedback. And of course, come over to the Facebook group, go to facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV podcast. Join the group and get involved in the podcast and the conversation on Gotham over there as well.
Absolutely.
Loads of ways.
So on to feedback. So our feedback this week comes in from Claire Payne. She's emailed us to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. She says, I do have questions about one part of this episode, not a negative way, but I feel it needs a little bit more explanation why Oswald thinks he created Enigma. Oswald certainly helped Ed come to terms and understand why he did his previous crimes, but I never saw Ed as a jittery, nervous person. He certainly lacked confidence in an aspect of his life, but it almost felt like a mirror image of what Fish said to Oswald in season 1. Yeah, I agree with you, Claire. This is more, it feels like another strikeout from Oswald in a way to save himself. Almost.
Absolutely. Desperate man, desperate situation, desperate measures.
Yeah, and again, Oswald doesn't have very many friends. He doesn't have very many people that went through what he's gone through, which is murdering someone, and being sent off to the other side. We haven't done that.
Exactly.
But, I think he sees a kindred spirit in somebody that's willing to kill to get their way ahead, and he feels like because he was there at the creation or the early part of Ed's career as a killer, that he feels like he's kind of guided him in ways, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it is. I think it feels like, and Ed definitely knows that Oswald is not the reason for Enigma as he transformed. Ed did it on his own, but Oswald has been there along the way. Oswald may think he's been helping him, and in some ways maybe he has. Certainly in this season, in terms of him being his right-hand man in the mayoral race and
Yeah.
all that, and trusting in Ed, then maybe it's helped Ed's confidence to be more, because Ed has become more robust, more confident as it goes through.
Now, I
But,
know they did have that conversation, as far as I remember. There was that moment of why not just go with it kind of thing, why you're struggling against your real personality, which is the guidance that Oswald gave him. Why not go with it, effectively?
Yeah.
So with Ed Oswald, possibly we wouldn't have this version of Ed Nigma, the person that is confident enough. This is really weird to talk about a guy who's confident enough to kill anybody in his way. But yeah, without that guidance from Oswald, it's potentially that Ed would have gone crazy.
I think thematically, it's the fact that, you know, we accept in moments of uncertainty for Ed, we don't see the two alter egos within the mirror like we used to do.
Absolutely.
It was only with Isabella coming back up that all of a sudden that was a possibility. And even that was flipped with it being Kris Kringle. Showing up in the mirror. So I think that thematically shows the sort of the journey that Ed has gone, and that he's comfortable. He's not having to have this inner conflict or dialogue with his two personalities. He can actually now go between the two of them to suit his purpose.
Absolutely. Claire goes on to say, putting my uncertainty to one side, the actual scene back at the pier with Ed and Oz was superb. Oswald begging for his life, and Ed now knows that Oswald loves him, and not selfish, greedy way, but his devotion to Ed is true. I thought it was incredibly sad when Ed insisted that he didn't love Oswald, but with Isabella being introduced and then taken away from Ed by Oswald, this would be the outcome. I'm stunned Ed shot Oswald in the stomach, then pushes him into a watery grave, but we all know penguins thrive in deep waters. Yes, nice. I don't think there's any doubt that Oswald's coming back, but yeah, it was a great moment. It's nice, you know, even though the character is going to be coming back, it's nice to have this real proper break between Ed and Oswald. There's no repairing this situation.
Absolutely. Claire goes on to say, one of my favourite scenes is between Barbara and Oswald. His realisation that he underestimated Barbara is brilliant. The scene is played brilliantly by Erin and Robin. It's not over the top. It's a calm discussion and almost seductive in a way. Barbara drapes herself around Oswald's shoulders and confirms what her intentions are and how Ed fits into her plans. Bravo. Loved it. Absolutely great little scene in there. Bruce and Alfred showed what an incredible alliance they are together, with Jerome showing up at the manor and destroying the Crystal Owl. Bruce's clever ploy to Jerome in why would he kill him in private, make it much more public with some drama and flair. Absolutely. And Alfred in his own right was superb in calling out to a hiding Jim in the wings exactly where everyone is in the room. Incredibly cool and showing more of his 00 Alfred SAS skills. Definitely. Yeah. Really good scenes. Claire, it says that Jerome definitely didn't disappoint, and neither did his stapled face. Fabulous. The fairground that he took Bruce to was an intriguing flare of games of torture. I did close my eyes when Bruce picked the staples out of his arm to pick his handcuffs. The Hall of Mirrors in the final showdown was incredible to see how close Bruce got to killing Jerome. Thankfully, Bruce's good judgment is rewarded when he leaves Jerome and sees proud Alfred waiting. Absolutely. Such a great scene and worthy of any movie, I think. Really good interaction between these two. Jim's expression when he sees Jerome with his face hanging off was priceless. Another gruesome moment that made me smile. Why so serious? So Bruce Doppelganger is ready to be released, and what intentions does Jim's Uncle Frank have?
Absolutely.
Well, Jim's Uncle Frank cannot have good intentions. It looks like he's going to try and use Jim, bring him on side, but I suspect that's not going to work.
I know. Thanks so much for your feedback, Claire. Really good to hear from you. Some great points in there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Claire.
So if you want to send any feedback to us, you can just email us over at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, as John mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you want to leave a voicemail, just go to gothamtvpodcast.com and click on the tab on the right-hand side and leave up to 90 seconds of voicemail on all your thoughts of season 3 so far in Gotham.
Absolutely. We love hearing our voicemails as well.
Yeah,
always good. Always
definitely.
good.
You can, of course, watch our episodes on YouTube every Wednesday, or you can listen to our podcast over at gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes, or search Gotham TV Podcast on any other good or disturbed podcast catcher.
There's a few of them out there, definitely. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with the start of, Mad City's over. The start of Heroes Rise. Episode 15 of Gotham begins the arc of Heroes Rise. Weirdly, for the start of Heroes Rise, it's called How the Riddler Got His Name. I think there might be a clash between writers and marketing there. But anyway, but we have seen one of the heroes rise in Gotham. We have seen Bruce. We've seen Jim. We've seen Alfred. We've seen Bullock obviously rising in this episode. So it'll be fun to see this mad city turned on its head from next week onwards.
Absolutely. Our review will be out next Wednesday, the 19th of July. As always, it's been great talking with you. And so we will see you again next time.
Great talking with you as well, John.
Great talking to you as well. I meant the listeners, not you. But I also mean you
Thanks.
as well.
Thanks. And thanks, Gothamites, for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah. See you.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Thanks for being a Butch supporter. Butch loves you, baby.